That's the lady who was screaming that she saw a kid in the water. People have been trying to ask her more questions, but she clearly doesn't want to talk, which I understand.
So for today's topic during this holiday season, we have yet another man overboard that unfortunately didn't end with a positive outcome. In this video, we will go over a couple video clips that does show the search and rescue effort, as well as accounts by a passenger that is on board. After that, we will elaborate with some further details that are available so far. We will go over some common misconceptions when it comes to man overboards, because in this particular case, this happened during the daytime and most man overboards happen during the evening. And a lot of people are asking, how is it that he was not able to be found? We will go over that, as well as some honestly creative solutions that people have been mentioning for man overboard situations such as this. But first, we'll check out the video clip by Abby, the attorney, and then we'll go over the details after.
So we're returning again, and this boat is coming towards us really fast. It was just a speck on the horizon a second ago, so don't know what that boat is. And that's the lady who was screaming that she saw a kid in the water. People have been trying to ask her more questions, but she clearly doesn't want to talk, which I understand. So some people have binoculars and they're actually trying to look out in the water. My cousin Dominique right there said she saw flare guns going off. I didn't see that. It took a long time for me to get from sleep to wake. Poor baby. I hope there's a miracle. I hope there's a miracle and they're able to find him. If I was a parent and saw my child go overboard, I would be following right behind them. But my friend who's on the boat elsewhere says there were a group of kids who were on their own, and so the parents probably weren't even with the child who went overboard. That's all speculation. I have zero facts. The update is that the search has been called off and we are on our way now to Nassau. Our last stop was supposed to be Great Stirrup Cay, but we had to divert. We've been released by authorities after an unsuccessful search to find the person missing. The reason why I said that it was a kid missing, even though a lot of news reports are saying that it was a man, is because when the lady started screaming that she saw someone overboard, she said it was a kid and she described what the kid was wearing. And when they made the announcement that we had a person overboard, they made the same description of the clothing. So I felt like I could believe her that she saw a kid. I know aspect is different when people are in the water, so maybe she was wrong, but that's the reason why I titled the video that there was a kid overboard, because I believed her description. Now, unfortunately, I do hear people saying that it was a man who had a seizure disorder. Not people saying, but I do see reports, like news articles saying that. I looked for something official from Norwegian explaining who it was that went overboard. I don't see anything, so I don't know if that news is accurate or not. But anyway, at this point, they have suspended the search. It was unsuccessful, and we are on the way to our final stop. The person apparently was with family, a group of family members. There's actually a lot of family on this cruise. A lot of people were walking around with like matching t-shirts and doing like family Christmas cruises. And that family has apparently, been given more information and options on what they can do from this point. So that's all that I know. I do hope for a miracle. I hope that somehow, some way, this person is found and that all is well in the world.
So before we get into the additional information, as well as react to the video clips that all of you just saw, I do want to give you a little bit more context on this unfortunate situation. It took place on board the Norwegian or NCL Epic. This ship was initially launched in the year 2016, cost $1.2 billion to build, and holds 4,100 passengers at full capacity. It is currently completing 7-day sailings out of Port Canaveral, Florida, going over to the Caribbean. However, the exact sailing itself that all this took place place on was between the dates of December 21st through December 28th. The incident of the man overboard took place the day prior as the ship was heading to its private island over in the Bahamas, Great Stirrup Cay. However, unfortunately, before the ship would even arrive to Great Stirrup Cay, the incident of the man overboard would take place at approximately 3 p.m. local time. What we do know so far is it has been confirmed that the passenger that unfortunately went overboard and unfortunately was not able to be found, thus of course the search and rescue efforts being ended, was a 51-year-old man that was allegedly sailing with a large group presumed to be family and friends. And as you saw in the video clip by Abby the attorney, they were wearing matching shirts, they were having a good time, at least until all of this went down at approximately 3 p.m. as the ship was heading to its private island. I do believe this situation is a good example as to why things shouldn't be rushed to be put out. People have been sending me video upon video and emails and of course DMs on social media telling me, hey, a kid went overboard, and it was presumed that originally it was a kid that had gone overboard, and obviously a lot of people were devastated. A lot of people were hoping that this kid would be found, but we now come to find out that it's been confirmed that this was an adult human being that went overboard. It doesn't, in my personal opinion, change the situation. It is still very unfortunate, very sad, and of course, my condolences do go out to the friends, loved ones, and everyone that is involved with this gentleman, because this is extremely sad, and imagine during this time of year. Now, a big question that everybody is asking, how in the heck do these man overboards continue to happen? And especially, how did this happen during broad daylight at 3 p.m.? Well, first you should know that unfortunately when it comes to man overboards on a global scale, it isn't common, but it isn't uncommon either. You will typically see a man overboard situation, whether the passenger has been rescued or not, typically happen anywhere between 26 times per year, 25 times per year. So you're talking about twice a month. And again, this is globally. It's unfortunate when it does happen, but the cruise lines do go out of their way to be precautious and make sure they are proactive and hopefully try to avoid these types of events from happening. But people are going to do what they're going to do. So unless you're going to, of course, put plexiglass everywhere and obstruct the view of the ocean, it is almost impossible to completely 100% prevent this from happening. As far as it's happening in broad daylight, when somebody goes overboard, like I said earlier, from my understanding, from what I have seen and talked about, and of course with the articles, these types of situations, as unfortunate as they are, typically happen during the evening time. But even if this happens during the day, it is still like finding a needle in a haystack when somebody goes overboard, because there are so many factors to take into consideration. Did somebody see the passenger go overboard? Because of course that would expect the rescue effort process, but there are also the factors of how high are the waves and the swells that day. Where is this person drifting off to in the event that there is a current? How long is it going to take for the captain on board to potentially turn around or back up? How long is it going to take for them to deploy any life-saving measures, like of course a rescue boat? How long is it going to take for the Coast Guard, in this particular case the Bahamian Coast Guard, to get over and also aid with the search and rescue efforts? Because typically when this happens, again, needle in a haystack, small person trying to be found, something that could even be the defining moment between life or death could be anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. Can the passenger swim? We could go on and on about this, but obviously, yes, if you go off of a cruise ship, the, let's say, opportunity or the likelihood that you are going to be rescued successfully, unfortunately, and it's not the cruise line's fault, but it can typically be pretty low overall. Finally, let's talk about potential solutions to man overboards, as well as solutions to help aid in finding somebody when they do go overboard. First of all, this is something that I say all the time, and I do believe that this is probably the strongest possible way to avoid somebody from going overboard on a cruise ship. And that is, of course, to make sure that you are sailing with people that are doing okay, excited for the cruise, not going through anything back home. And I mean this when it comes from mentally, emotionally. If you are sailing with somebody that maybe your relationship is a little bit rocky, that also, in my personal opinion, is not advisable. Now, when it comes to being on the ship, the cruise lines do have measures to hopefully ensure that people don't go overboard. One of which being, of course, you have man overboard detection systems that, to be honest, most cruise lines don't have, because they have two options in terms of anything to help avoid any man overboard situations. That is, of course, the option, like I said, the man overboard detection systems, and then, of course, security or surveillance cameras. Most modern cruise ships have around 2,000 to 3,000 cameras on board, and they are monitoring them constantly to ensure that nothing crazy is happening. Now, what about when a passenger does go overboard into the water? Two primary suggestions that I thought was pretty pretty creative and possibly could even work. The first one was a tracking device of somehow on every single passenger. We do know that a lot of cruise lines already do something like this. They all have some type of wristband, and maybe they could require every passenger on the ship to wear this at all times, but let's be honest, there are a lot of people that are not going to wear it. There are people that are going to forget to put it on when they are in the shower or what have you. Even if it is waterproof, they're probably going to take it off in some instances. And if that person that goes overboard doesn't have this wristband or tracking device on, then just like that, you also have a problem. But it could potentially save a life. I would agree. Another suggestion a lot of people were making is to, as expensive as it might be, buy some drones. In the event that somebody goes overboard, buy some nice expensive drones with good cameras that even if in weather that is not maybe perfect or inclement weather, they can still have the drones go out and look for these passengers and hopefully be able to find them. Again, it would be expensive, but honestly, I do believe that is a good idea if the cruise lines could do it. But I'm sure there probably is some rules, regulations, and a lot of paperwork involved with that as well. Anyway, that is what we have for this video. Once again, my condolences do go out to the friends, family, and loved ones of this 51-year-old passenger that has gone overboard. I hope you guys found this video valuable in some kind of way. Of course, if you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate all of you. I love all of you, and I'll see you later. Take it easy.